Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Diamond Hands podcast. Today, guys, we have the Red Rabbit herself, Jessica Rhee. She is the owner of Red Rabbit Aesthetics in New Jersey. Welcome.
Hello. You have a very sultry voice and you're like describing me and introducing me. I love it.
But everybody knows that,
You're meant for this. You're
the
made.
Red Rabbit is sexy. The Red Rabbit is sultry, and you embody that. I'm like,
try.
Girl, guys. So when I first met this woman, I was like, damn, who's that?
Who's that crazy redhead over there with the crazy hair? Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, I was like, I need to get to know her. I was like, she is so sexy. So now we're here. Oh my God. So tell us, like, I know that, you guys just came back from a fabulous trip. Mm-hmm. Living your best life. Mm-hmm. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I work hard and I play hard, So I went to the Maldives for 2 weeks. It's not a trip that's new to me. We go every year. This is actually my second time this year going.
Yes.
So, I don't play. So when I'm like at work, it's hard. When I'm on vacation, it's hard. And it's got to be worth my time. So Maldives trip number, I think 14 at this point.
Wow.
So
that's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if anyone can, learn something from that, because I see so much burnout in the industry, which I'm sure that you see too, but it's like, you need to take that time. It's like when you're at work, freaking work.
Yeah.
But when you're not at work, put that damn boundary up.
I agree. Like I told you before, like this last trip was the first time, like did not connect to the Wi-Fi, like no text, no emails. I told my manager, like, if you need me, call my husband, but like I don't exist for 2 weeks. And it was amazing. Like just like the good old days when you could like leave the country and it's like, oh, like, do I need a SIM card? Do I need like a burner phone? Like how are people going to get in touch with me? Like, yeah, no.
Girl,
those days
are so good.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah. Now you go somewhere else and like travel pass is like, oh, welcome to London or welcome to Nepal or what? And you're like, excuse me, why do you know where I am? Number one.
Yeah, no. The age of the internet, it's making it way too easy.
It's way too easy. And it's like, it's so easy to lose yourself and lose your boundaries and start disrespecting yourself if you're not careful with all this social media stuff. It's wild.
Yeah. I used to be all in where like I would answer everybody, even if it was like 2 a.m. and they're messaging me, I'd be like, oh my God, potential patient. Like I have to message them. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I would never message someone or text someone at 2 a.m. So like, no, sorry. And like when I turned my phone on this trip, I checked in after like a week. I couldn't go the full 2 weeks. And it was like 93 text messages. And it was just all stuff that could wait. And I'm like, you got to put yourself first, especially in this industry, because these patients in general or people in general, they require a lot of attention and you tend to lose yourself a little bit. So I highly recommend like going missing like every now and then.
You said going missing.
Why is she not answering? It's been 2 seconds.
For real. It's like, have you guys seen Jessica Rhee? I think we're gonna have to put her on one of those milk carton boxes.
I emailed her 5 minutes ago and she didn't answer back.
But that's how people are though. And it's like, you're disrespectful. Like if I don't want to email you back today, if I don't want to text you back today, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna live.
Everyone's gonna be fine.
Everyone's gonna be fine. So, and I love that because, I think there's just this misconception. People jump into this industry and they think that, oh my God, the money's gonna flow, it's gonna pour down right away, and then we're gonna be able to go on vacation and do this and do that. But they don't develop those boundaries and those processes and systems, and they don't develop their people so they can truly step away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think a lot of times, especially starting out, like people tend to see the shine, but they like don't see the grind. And like, it's a lot all the time. And it takes a lot out of you. So I think, you have to, from the beginning, really establish yourself first, where it's like, okay, this is my free time on the weekends. Like, this is my free time. Or when you go home, like, I'll answer these emails tomorrow. So, I don't know. I can't give advice for people starting out because I'm just like, don't do it. Run as fast as you can.
Run for the hills, bitch.
Like when people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to start a med spa. I'm like, oh, you are good. Oh, good. Oh, and then I'm like, back in my mind, I'm like, I
I
hope they make it.
know. I know. It's just like, I was when I was speaking at a conference recently, there was like, a crowd of, it wasn't huge, but it was like, like 150 people or something. And
Yeah.
and like, I was like, how many of you have employees? There wasn't that many people that raised their hand. It's just like a
Mhm.
lot of people are doing the single shingle thing, and they're
Mhm.
just really, depending on themselves. So it's hard for them to turn off because they have no support.
Right. Exactly. That I think that finding someone, a great manager, is going to just transform everything. Like you need
Mm-hmm.
somebody that can run the business the way you run the business.
Yes.
Even from the beginning, like, it could be somebody
Yes.
part-time that just takes a little bit off of your plate.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, answering phones, answering emails, and doing everything for the business as a single person, I think that's hard.
Yeah, it definitely is. So, kind of like taking it back. So, I kind of want to get into, this Jessica Rabbit thing.
Mm.
So,
My
Jessica
MO.
Rabbit, when she first showed up, oh my goodness, I don't have the year.
Long time ago.
1981. Yeah.
Was
So
it 81?
1981, who censored Roger Rabbit? That's when she first showed up on the scene. So tell me a little bit about that embodiment and how you kind of embody that in human form, and and like how you brought that to be your practice. Tell us that the nexus, the beginning of that for you.
You know, it kind of just evolved that way, because my name
Mm-hmm.
is Jessica, obviously, and I
Yeah.
just like have this obsession with my red hair. So people would just be like, "Oh my God, you remind me of Jessica Rabbit." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. That's what I'm going for." So it was just kind of like evolved into this human form of Jessica Rabbit. But,
Mm-hmm.
my business, Red Rabbit Aesthetics, like obviously I couldn't name it Jessica Rabbit,
Mm-hmm.
copyright issues, trademarks.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else
Mm-hmm.
owns it. I should own it. I guess Jessica Rabbit can have it. Um,
Yes.
so it turned into the Red Rabbit because of my red
Mm-hmm.
hair, and my practice is in Red Bank, New Jersey. So
Wow.
yeah, and from the one marketing class I took in college, it was like you want things people are going to remember. Like Red Rabbit
Yes.
is super easy. People remember Red Rabbit. It's just easy instead of like Dr. So and so Glow Aesthetic Medical Spa, like this huge long name. It's been done, it's boring, and like
Mm-hmm.
be different. Like that's what's going to set you
Yes.
apart. What is a Red Rabbit?
Yes.
I don't know. It sounds like a vibrator. Like I can't.
Well,
Some
it might
people
be too.
remember it and it's working. So
Yes.
it's fine.
I love it. I love it. Oh my God. So it's like, I love that. So you guys really embodied that. And it's like the Red Rabbit. How can you forget that? How?
Can't. Can't.
How?
It's ingrained in your memory now. It's imprinted.
Seriously, there's so many doctors' offices that I talk to a lot of people. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna remember them unless I really remember the person.
Mhm. Like
And
you're
so
not going to
every
forget the red hair, the crazy hair.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Got to do something different.
Exactly. Do something different. And so like with your people and like your patients, I'm sure you've kind of like built kind of like a cult following in essence.
Mhm.
So it's like with that, like, how would you suggest to people, like, how do you build a following? How do you build a strong culture? And not even following on the internet. Yeah, we all know you can have a lot of followers, but that's different than a practice. We all know that.
Mhm.
But for you, like, how do you make sure that you build a strong culture, and tell us more about that?
I mean, you got to surround yourself with people that have the same values. If you
Mm,
have employees, if you don't have employees, your friends, your family, you have to always, no matter what, be a good person and be surrounded
mm-hmm,
by people that are good people.
mm-hmm,
That's how you're
mm-hmm.
going to be able to build yourself up. People can smell if you're shady. If you're
Yep.
starting up and you're trying to like cut corners, like people know that. And you're going
Mm-hmm,
to maybe
mm-hmm.
get patients in the door, but you're not going to retain them. But I
Mm.
think it's hard to do anything right now. I think social media really makes it difficult for everybody to do well because you were human. If you make a
Mm-hmm.
mistake, it's going to end up on the internet. God
Yes.
forbid you droop an eyelid, there's your 1-star Google review that's going to
Mm-hmm.
prevent people from coming. So,
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, I feel bad when people look at me and they're like, oh, I want to do what she did. I'm like, I feel like it's impossible right now because
Mm.
I fortunately started doing this 14 years ago before
Damn.
Google, when there was
Mm-hmm.
just Botox and Restylane, and I
Mm-hmm.
could make mistakes and it wouldn't end up all over the internet. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think just be human. And
Mm-hmm.
if you make a mistake, admit it. try to be good always, and just, don't take everything so seriously, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was that a good answer? I don't know.
I mean, I think it's a great answer because I think at the end of the day, we tend to worry about a lot of things that don't
Matter.
freaking matter.
Don't matter.
We worry about what other people think about how we're dressing, what we look like, who we're dating, if we choose to have kids or not. At the end of the day, nobody cares.
I know. Nobody cares. The only people that care are the people that are miserable themselves. It gives them something to like latch onto to make themselves feel better. But it's so freeing to get to the point where you're like, you know what? I don't care if you don't like me. I don't care if you don't like my red hair. I don't care. At the end of the day, I have a great family. I got a great staff. I got a great team. I got a great practice. I got a great life. I'm a happy person.
Yes.
So it takes a lot to get to that point. But as soon as you start shedding that negativity and always being concerned about what other people think, you'll be able to progress so much higher in your professional, personal lives. So, it's just hard. It's easier said than done. We're all female. We're hypercritical.
We are. And it's just one of those things, like showing up without a filter on Instagram. Like, damn.
Yeah. When someone does it, I'm like, okay, good for you. I don't know if I'm there yet.
I'm like, I do like my snatched jawline on the gram. I must say. It's so terrible, but I don't even know. It's just like one of those things, like, being online and I know Josh had talked about this yesterday, but like, being online, like, we do have a tendency to it's just the highlight reel. It's the greatest things in our life. That's what we do, because at the end of the day, nobody wants negative energy either. They don't want to hear about this and that and this and that. But I love what you say. It's just like, just shedding those layers and just being yourself, because you don't have to pretend. And whoever's going to be drawn to you, it's going to be drawn to you.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, your husband. I just want to know, like, you guys are so cute together. And it's like seeing this like power couple and what you guys are doing in the industry together. Like, tell us like, a little bit how you like met, if you want to, or whatever, like how you met, and like how has it been like working together all these years, and like what advice would you give to anybody who, is working with their spouse in their practice?
I'm very fortunate. I'm still trying to figure out who the alpha is. I still think it's me. It might be him. Bill is just an incredible person in general. Like, and I hate to be like that person that's like, oh my God, my husband's just so amazing. Cause it's just like, tends to be like the farthest from the truth. Bill is just like, he's amazing at everything. He's like, he cannot lie for the life of him. He just is super honest, and he's just a good person. But I met him at work. He's an anesthesiologist. I was working for an orthopedic surgery group as a surgical assistant. And it was like, we were keeping it a secret for the longest time. And then I left and started working in plastic surgery. And then we weren't in the OR together anymore. So it was fine. And then I worked in plastic surgery for 10 years. I'd see him every now and then at the hospital. And then I left and went off on my own, and he's my supervising physician now. But it's nice because he doesn't have to be in the office all the time. So like we work together, but like he's not there all the time. And he lets me, he really does let me and supports me in making all the decisions. He doesn't make any of them. So even if he wants to, even if he wants to, alpha right here. No, even if he wants to, he's like, you know what, this is your thing. Like, whatever you need. And I want everyone to find a Bill. I want everyone to find a Bill Rhee. Someone that's supportive, not threatened by you, and just respectful all the time.
Exactly. I think that's just a beautiful thing, because sometimes what happens when women start getting successful and they start, glowing all the way up, sometimes
makes their spouse feel a little insecure. That they're going to leave and find someone better. But you have to be secure in your own being first before you can be in a good relationship. And look at me giving relationship advice. I'm like,
I love this, girl. We need to be all around this, because we all have these things, but I think that's important, because that's the key to even having a good business, being secure in yourself.
Yes. You have to make yourself happy first. Other people can't make you happy. And that has to do with patience too. If you have a patient that comes in and they're a happy person, they're going to be happy with whatever you do to them. Even if you make a mistake, they're going to be like, oh, you know what? Let's just fix this. Like if they're not going to let it bring them down. When you have people that come in that are sad or depressed or going through stuff and they think that you're going to be able to make them feel better, and then when they don't feel better, they blame it on you. You know, it has to do with every aspect of your life. You're going to be happier and more successful when you make yourself happy first.
Yes, 100%, 100%. And like, so when you have like patients and you guys are like doing like your consultations, like, you know, the art of the consultation, like, how do you like, do you guys like deny clients ever or deny patients from your practice? And if so, why? Like, who do you allow into your client club, so to speak?
I mean, you can tell somebody's energy right away. Like I'm an empath. Like I feel people's energies, and I don't like mean that in some kind of weird trippy way. Like if someone's in a bad mood, like it makes me feel like I'm in a bad mood. So, you know, you can tell just by talking to somebody for 2 minutes whether they have it together or not, you know. And if they don't, and you pick up on those red flags that are going ding 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 ding, you just have to be upfront and say, listen, I don't think I can help you. Maybe you should try this, or maybe you should try this, you know. You know, I'm in a very fortunate situation now where, you know, I had like a 9-month wait list at one point. So I stopped taking new patients. So I don't have to deal with new patients, which is wonderful. I know exactly who I'm going to see. I see everyone's name. I'm like, oh, there's so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. They're all coming back because they're happy. They like what I'm doing for them. So it's taken a long time to get there. But I have 2 other injectors and some estheticians also, and we do get new patients, and some are amazing and some are not so amazing. And when they're not so amazing, we just kind of like, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you should go somewhere else.
Like, we're going to expel you from our practice. Like, here's the eject button. Click.
I think, you know, you got to trust your gut. Like you got to trust your gut. It has to do with everything. Like if someone's giving you bad vibes, that is just the tip of the iceberg. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I don't, have you done your human design chart?
No. Do I need to know about this? What is this?
Okay, I'm going to have to connect you with Michaela McLean. Michaela, if you're listening, I'm gonna connect y'all, or you can just do it online. But yeah, so I wish I could show you my human design chart. I keep it on my wall, but it just like talks about like, you know, your energy and like how you respond and everything like that. And like you might be like me. I'm a, what is it called? They call it, I'm a pure generator. So I like generate things and create things. Like that's just like me.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, the way I live my life, like you just said, like as far as like, you can feel things. You're an empath. You can feel things. It like they said, like people that are generators, like if you, so again, a situation presents itself, like you have to listen to your inner self because you'll actually like grunt or do something and just know it's not right. Like you know that someone or it's just not right. Do you get those feelings? Like, so like when something's not right, you're just like, it's like visceral almost.
Yes. You know, you just know it's not, there's just something off.
Yeah. It's so weird. Yeah. I believe in wavelengths and like energy, and not to get like foo-foo here, but
I know. I'm like, who's listening? Trust me. I don't have like a bedroom full of like crystals, but I try to like just surround myself with people that are not going to make my energy go down.
Exactly, because there's enough darkness that we have to deal with. And you know, so when you're building an empire, if you can kind of like, I would say like break it down into a few principles, what do you think are the important principles when you're building an empire, in this case an aesthetic empire?
So I think there's 2 separate groups where it's the human version of it and the business version of it, because the business version of it can sometimes not be in line with the human part of it. So I think as a business owner, you have to protect yourself from everything, right? So everything in my office is contracts and consents, and that has to do with my staff and it has to do with my patients. You know, everything is in writing. I don't mess around. So that's to protect me, that's to protect the patient, that's to protect my staff. And it's just better to not have any gray area. It has to be black and white. People's expectations, your rules, your policies, and then you just don't deviate from that. It's like it's a policy for a reason. And don't let people push you into changing your policies or your, the way you run your practice. Like, no, this is the way I do it. If you don't like it, don't come here.
Yes.
And then there's the human part of it. Like, you shouldn't be a robot. It shouldn't be all business where you're looking at somebody like their dollar signs. Like, you have to have a human, component to it, where I just say, like, you need to be yourself. Don't pretend to be someone you're not. And, don't be fake. People can see right through that.
Yes.
I think the people that are most successful in this industry are the people that just are themselves, and they're honest and they're upfront, and they don't just try to like sugarcoat it or like, spew this whole line of like everything is magical. Like,
yes.
No, you gotta be normal. I don't know. Be normal, but protect yourself, and everything has to be in writing.
Exactly. And I love how you said everything has to be in writing, because you see so many people that's like operating and you're like, what are you doing? Like, you don't have standard operating procedures. Like, you don't have like contracts with your people to like say when this happens, this is like, there's a lot of people operating like that because like you said before, it's very hard for one person to run everything. And then when they get maybe one other employee, they're still kind of running a little bit ragged, because they may not have hired the right role.
Well, I think it's hard too to know where to get all this information too. Like, who's going to write your contract? Do I want to pay a lawyer to do this for me? And like in my experience with lawyers, like they just go wild. Like you have to do everything yourself and then get your lawyer to double check it. But I was fortunate where I opened a very small office where it was only 2 rooms and I only had 4 employees. There, I didn't have any contracts. I was just like, oh yeah, let's do this and let's do that. And then when I moved into my bigger space, I was like, you know what? Everything needs to be tight. Everyone's signing contracts. There's going to be employee handbooks and employee agreements and this and that. And, even contracts between Bill and I, as my supervising physician, emergency protocols, everything. Beautiful. You have to have everything. And that's what's going to make you more successful, because you're not going to have any issues down the road of either, disgruntled staff members, disgruntled patients. It's just easier. I don't know.
It is. I mean, it is easier. It might be a lot of work up front. Like, it sucks to put all those things in place.
It does suck.
It's a lot of time. It's a lot of money.
Well, that's the business part that I think a lot of people don't see. It's like, first you have to learn how to inject, right? You have to actually learn to do something that's extremely difficult. And then you have to learn the whole business side of this industry. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is. It's like, a book that I'm going to recommend to all y'all who listening. But there's this really good book. It's called The Personal MBA by Joseph Kaufman. I think I got the first name wrong, but the last name is Kaufman. And it's just like, because I had another doctor on my podcast. His episode hasn't aired yet. If you're listening, I'm sorry. I love you. It'll air soon. But anyways, it's just like, and he was talking about before he sold his practice, that was the book that he read. And he like read it like a Bible, The Personal MBA. And he was like, with that, he said he didn't have to hire that many people to get all the things done. He said he did everything that the book said. He sold his practice for quite a few million. Ooh. And yes, I was like, okay, honey. And so, building that value, and that comes, having the legal things all set up, that builds value in your practice.
It does.
Because it's not just like, oh, it's not stuff in your head. It's great to have things in your head. But if it's not written down, it ain't shit.
Yeah. And it's also scalable too. Like if it gets to a point where you want to expand and have another location or, franchise or something. And I think actually something you said is, when I listened to you speak for the first time, when I fell in love with you, was like, well, what if something happens where like you die? We're human beings, right? Like things happen, or if you get hurt and you're disabled. So you have to have everything buttoned up. You don't want to have to deal with it later.
You don't. And I love that you really embody that. Like I would call you a value accelerator. You are a value accelerator. You guys, you better take the pledge like Miss Rhee out here.
I love it.
But that's what you are. And it's like, that's what more of this industry needs. Like people like you saying, look, I've done all this stuff. I've done the hard work. Like if you want to be in business, actually be a freaking business owner. Like stop chopping the block. And like you said, cutting corners. Yeah. Because cutting corners now leads to all sorts of accidents later.
I agree.
And it's just wild.
It is wild. It's a wild, wild west in this industry right now.
I know. I
Everybody's
know.
a girl boss.
I know. So, I mean, so I know another thing that you deal with, especially kind of like, being a leader, like a key opinion leader in this industry too, is like, just people trying to grab your attention, people trying to grab your energy and just like kind of claw at your aura as a person. So,
Mhm.
that dark side of like being a leader, how do you deal with that?
Uh, it's a lot easier for me now than it used to be because I
Mm-hmm.
used to really, really care about what people think about me, like
Mm-hmm.
in my local area and in, the online presence that I had. I really took everything someone would say to heart, or if
Mm-hmm.
I heard somebody was saying something about me, I would take it really personally.
Yeah.
Um, and then it just kept happening and it kept happening and it kept happening. And I'm like, well, I know it's not me because I have 99% of these people that follow me love me, right? But you get the
Yes.
random one person that thinks that they know who I am and
Mm-hmm.
tries to just say something mean to get, my attention. So, you know, it's still like, am I human? And I see it and I'm like, oh, that sucks. But I don't try to let it
Mm-hmm.
ruin my day, I guess,
Yeah.
anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
like, as much as I'm like very big and I have the social media and I have the red hair and I have the big business. Like I'm an introvert. Like I like being home. Like I want to watch Netflix and chill. Like I don't need to be at a rave or like be at a party down the street. Like block party makes my heart race. Like
Are
I
you
don't,
serious?
yeah, I just like, I try to really like take pride in like who has my time. Right.
Yes.
So I think it stems from the beginning of this conversation, like
Mm-hmm.
boundaries. Like you have to
Yeah.
have them. And, even with my Instagram now, right? I used to
Mm-hmm.
answer every single DM. At the
Mm-hmm.
end of my lectures, I'd be like, you know what, just DM me if you have a problem or a question. And then I realized
Mm-hmm.
people don't appreciate that and they just suck the life out of you. So I stopped
Damn.
answering anything that's in my request folder. I don't answer because you know what?
Mm.
I've had Instagram for what, 9 years now. If you've had
Damn.
9 years to send me a message, like if you haven't sent me a message in 9 years, like why? Because I'm at the top now. You want me to help you. So
Well.
I try to just ignore it and like, I don't know, not care as much as I should. No.
But isn't it so funny though how like when you're starting out, like you have the vision, right? And you know what's gonna happen. You like
Mm-hmm.
because everyone who is successful, we know what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we just do our thing, and people are like, "What the hell is she doing? What the hell is she doing? What the hell is she doing?" It's like you don't gotta worry about what I'm doing,
Don't.
and they don't pay attention to you. They think you're nobody, and the next thing they see you everywhere, and they're just like, "Can I talk to you now?" And it's like, no.
And actually, a really great example of that is this whole like MD mid-level battle that's still happening.
Jesus
And
Christ.
I remember when I went off on my own, I was like the first PA in Jersey to do this, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The hate from the local doctors was
Ooh.
outrageous. And it was like there was a certain few that were like, oh, good for you. Like they called me. If you need
Mm-hmm.
anything, let me know. And then there was the other ones that were trying to like get me shut down. And now all of a
Oh.
sudden that I'd blown up and I'm super well known and everyone
Mm-hmm.
knows the Red Rabbit and everyone's coming, whatever. Now it's like, oh, if you ever need anything or if you want to refer me patients, I'm like, I'm not answering my
Excuse
phone.
you?
Excuse you. Like, I remember what you said 3 years ago when you were trying to like, say that didn't know what I was doing. So, everything, I remember everything. You gotta always, no matter what, don't talk about people negatively, even if that's your opinion.
Yes.
It's
Mm-hmm.
going to come to bite you in the butt. And, try to really see if someone is genuine or not from the beginning.
Yes.
And it's hard to
Yes.
do. It's hard to do.
It is hard. And I think one of the hard, like for me, and I think what has been like hard for me in this industry because it's like I moved from New York to the Boston area. I followed a boy, you know what I mean? So yeah, so I'm here with him and I've been here and it's just like, I thought in the beginning, I was making friends with people, but then you realize like people like on the flip side of it, you realize when people don't really care about you. And that for me, that at the point in the time those things happen, that hurt too. Like when you think people are your friends, but they're really not, and they're talking crap, or they
They're your
just
friends when they need something.
exactly. And it's just like I think that's a hard pill to swallow too. As women that are entrepreneurs, and when you're growing, you just realize that
people
are fake as hell.
People are fake. And women are the worst. Like there's women like, you know, like for me, like I want everyone to do well. Like I want to support everybody, you know, but like if there's a woman that doesn't have what you have, they will just continue to just try and break you down. And it's sad. It just is what it is. It's just life in general. It doesn't matter, you know.
I know.
It's like my daughter's kindergarten class. Like one girl wants the blue crayon, but you have the blue crayon, but I want the blue crayon. Like
they're gonna duke it out over that crayon.
They're gonna duke it out over that crayon.
It's like there's another box of crayons in this room somewhere, guys. I'm sure there is.
There's plenty of crayons, and there's a lot of good colors. So let's just share,
including red. Like
including red. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I'm just saying. Red like just a thought. Just a thought. But it's so funny you made the analogy with your daughter. I feel like that's what the world is like. You know, you're either thinking abundance, like, oh, you have this crayon, but maybe I'll just use another color until you're finished with that crayon, or I'm gonna buy my own crayons, or whatever it is. And that's what we do in our adulthood life. We're sitting there. Many people are just looking at this person's one crayon and so focused on their crayon that they can't see that there's a whole company that made those crayons. You can get your own crayons.
It's so true. They want your crayon. They want yours because they're obsessed with your crayon. Yeah, exactly. You're not worthy of the crayon that they want.
It's like, I worked for this crayon. I bought this crayon. It's like, excuse me?
Crayon. Get away from my crayon.
Exactly. And it's just that's the difference. And you see it in every business, whether it's aesthetics or anything really. It's just the abundance versus the scarcity mindset. And when people really realize that this world is huge, there's enough for everybody. It's like, someone could be doing the same thing as me, but I'm like, you can't do the same thing as me because you're not me. So come ahead and do it. Like, hey girl, or hey boo, do your thing, but you're not me. You don't got the same sauce. So we're going to attract different.
We're going to attract different people. And that's fine. And that's fine.
Yeah. Life is weird, girl. Life is so weird.
Life is weird.
It sure is. So, you know, the kind of like the last thing I want to ask you about, which I really, really loved, is kind of continuing on with that like abundance mentality, is that, you know, I really love how you guys even just like share your prices on the website, and you're like really open and upfront about that. And I wanted to just like ask you, because I really believe that's abundant thinking when you can do that. So what have you found that has led to just being like more transparent before people even walk through the door? How did that transition happen for you, and how has it affected your practice?
You know, I don't know how I started that. You know, I think it was the practice I was at, and just most people in general didn't share prices. So, you know, the phone was constantly ringing like, well, what's your Botox unit value? Or what do you charge for a syringe? You're like, the phone calls were just constant. Like,
yes.
So for me, it's like, I'd rather just it be on the internet. Or if someone comes in and, you know, they get 2 syringes and they go up to the front and they're like, what do you mean it's $1,000? I thought I was paying $200 for 2 syringes. Like, you know, so I wanted to kind of cut any confusion out. I like making things really straightforward and like clean cut. You know, that's why we only do aesthetics, right? We only do injectables, and I have some skincare like facials and things like that. But I don't do any laser. I don't have any surgical services. Like, it's injectables. That's it. And I wanted to kind of streamline it and be the master of that. Like, this is where you go for injectables. And then this is like, you go down the street for your laser, and like, we can share patients. And like, if you do their Botox one time, it's cool. Like you know, whatever. So I just wanted to kind of cut out the patients that maybe, I don't want to use can't afford to come in, but you know, are unrealistic of what this costs. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And when I first opened, like, my prices were very low. I had them pretty low just so that I could get as many patients as I could. And then as we grew, then we slowly increased them. And now I think they're, you know, they're not high, but they're not low anymore. They're very average, if not above average. And nobody's ever given me a hard time. And on my website, it says clear as day. Like I said, from the beginning, everything in writing, there's a price increase every 2 years. My rent goes up, my expenses go up, everything goes up. Inflation, you know, things go up every year. My price per syringe and everything goes up. So, you know, it's just like every 2 years, it goes up, everyone knows. And, then you just kind of eliminate people that are caught off guard and surprised. Because when people are caught off guard and surprised, I think they can react emotionally, and then they do emotional things. So, I think that in every aspect of your life, like things just need to be upfront and honest.
Yes. Oh, girl, I love that. But see, the thread that you run your relationship with, like you said, it all starts from the inside. That pours right out into your business. So you heard that, guys? Being upfront, being transparent, setting expectations, having contracts even with the people you love in your life, because you don't want to take those things for granted. It's like, if I need to go on my date one time a week to make myself feel good, that's what we're going to do. It's just like whatever it is, you have to have your contracts with the different people in your life and understand what makes you happy. Otherwise, they don't have a place.
Right.
Girl. Quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity. That is for sure.
Yes. My dad, I say remember like he's not alive still. My dad, my little Jamaican old dad, he'd always be like, he wouldn't get a lot of stuff, but he's going to get his real Italian leather shoes, though. Oh. And he's going to make sure them junks last. He's going to take them to the shoe cobbler. He's going to take care of them. He's going to polish them every Friday.
Take care of it.
Yes, my dad, he has a little station. He polishes his shoes.
You don't wait for them to fall apart and then fix it. Yeah. Maintenance.
Maintenance for everything in life. Your Botox, your man, your body, everything. Oh God, Jessica. Well, do you have any parting words of advice that you want to leave, with our audience today?
Don't go into aesthetics. No. No. Be different. Don't be scared to be different. Don't care about what people say. They're going to talk about you no matter what. Nobody wants to see you at the top. They want to be at the top. They don't want to see you at the top. So you have to really cut out all the noise, whether it's positive or negative. You just have to focus on yourself, be confident in the decisions that you're making, confident that your injections are great, that you know everything you need to know, you're doing things safely, you're doing things right. And, the rest will follow.
Beautiful. Oh my God, Jessica, this has been so wonderful. Just hanging out with you for a little bit. When I come to New Jersey, I'm gonna have to stop by the Red Rabbit. I'm like, hey, Red Rabbit.
You gotta come.
I'm gonna come all sexy and whatnot. I'll be like, what character am I gonna be? I'm about to be Ivy or something. We about to do something.
We need the red wig.
I know. I'm gonna come. Girl, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna get a red wig, and we're just gonna have to be like, "Yo, hi guys, let's do an Instagram."
Done. Say the word.
Oh my God, I love it. So, guys, I'm gonna put everything about Jessica in the show notes. You're probably following her already, but that's all gonna be there. But again, it's been so fabulous spending time with you.
My pleasure. I love you.
Love you too. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Did you learn something? Then please leave us a review. I appreciate your feedback. It means the world. See you next week.